What's up, guys? DRJ here. I was about to call myself Diablo 3, and I'm getting ready to talk to you guys about Diablo 3. So this is actually, I've done this a few different times now. This is gonna be a two-part series, partly because of the camera stuff, but partly because I want to keep these segments to hopefully around 10 minutes or so. I think when you start bleeding over into 20, 25 minutes, it's start to lose people's interest, start to lose their attention, and it's easier to focus. I mean, like I said, around 10 minutes is the goal. So this first part is basically I want to detail, some of my history with the game to give you guys some perspective and background on where I'm approaching it from, and then talk to you guys about some of the fundamental mechanic changes that have taken place from, say, D2 to D3. And then in the next part, which I'll put out like in a day or two, it'll be before Diablo 3 releases. It'll be some of my concerns about the game. There's just too much if I'm trying to do that all in one segment. So I played Diablo 1, played Diablo 2. I think, how old was I when Diablo 1 came out? I was probably early teens, maybe. I probably was even younger than that. I mean, Diablo 1 was really, really cool. It was a action RPG, story-driven, point-and-click fest. Definitely think I wore out a mouse on that one. It was very, very dark. I remember it was very gritty. I remember walking around and the music and the just the settings. There's a lot of a lot of gore, very gory, especially when you look at Diablo 3 or even Diablo 2. But Diablo 1 was very, very gory, and if you were playing it, I remember playing with the lights off basically, and you're going down the hallways or something, and you would jump or you'd see something, and anyway, it could be scary. So it was good. It was a lot of fun. And then Diablo 2 came out. Diablo 2, it made improvements basically in every possible way over the first one. It had, the first one had multiplayer, but I can't even remember, it's so old. But Diablo 2, it was 8-player multiplayer. Everything was just bigger and better than before. 640 by 480, or was it 800 by 600 resolution? Really, really cool. The expansion pack was awesome. It was more of everything. It was a more streamlined performance. It was heavenly. Diablo 2, I played the shit out of that, actually by myself, and then later, I think it was just so random. Bruce and I were talking about it, Xcal and I were talking about it, and we decided to play it together. And I think this was after they released the Uber Chaos, Tristram, whatever it is, Uber versions like Baal and Diablo and Mephisto and everything like that. And so we actually got a whole bunch of keys from friends and things like that, and we went in and played actually hardcore. And we made our own 7-player games is what we had, and we brutalized everything. It was really, really satisfying. You could download special programs to run multiple copies of the game at the same time. So you'd Alt-Tab or whatever it is, click between all of them. So basically, you do your Baal runs or whatever to level everybody up, and so one of us clears up to Baal, and then we clear the throne room, open up a portal, and drag all the rest of the ding-dongs in, so we're getting all that delicious, 7 or 8-player experience, and then do our runs that way. And same deal, you have with the benefit of all those guys, we had a Shout Barb who gave us, whatever, level 30 gajillion battle orders, and the Oridins and all sorts of great stuff. Your mercs are decked out. We played around with some really cool high-level builds. I think he went with the Lightning Sword, which is the most powerful build that's technically out there, using D2 JSP, which was an awesome site, which basically because there was no currency in Diablo 2, genius idea. These guys basically created an artificial currency based in real world money that took place of the Diablo 2 currency. Brilliant idea. I'm sure those guys are very wealthy. Really cool. So some of the differences mechanically between D2 and D3. So when you have individualized loot, awesome. No more competing with, somebody with a better latency, or God forbid you're a range class, and everybody, like that last 5% of the boss's health, it was so funny. You're killing Bale, whoever it is, Mephisto, and then everybody stops clicking, they stop attacking him at like 5% health because they're all, spamming trying to pick shit up before it actually drops. And it's just pretty goofy. So individualized loot is something that needed to happen. I'm glad that it did. You pick up gold and you walk over it, thank Christ. Also, Magic Find is now averaged amongst your party, and your party is down to 4 instead of 8. So that'll be really interesting to see how that happens, how that works out. I don't know if, will the best way, just to have some guys that are completely decked out in like MF gear, that are more or less just like trailing along behind everybody and affecting the MF of your party, or I don't know if they can sit in town and that happens or not. But either way, like, will that be the best way, or will it be better to, have everybody sort of balanced out? I don't know. One of the things that actually they don't have that I would like to see would be like a difficulty modifier, so you can just ramp it up to 4-player difficulty without having actually 4 players, but I digress. Runes and skills are actually a big difference. There are far more skills in this game, and the types of skills that are there, I think there's like 6 slots for skills. You can choose between actives, basically action, defensive, offensive, defensive, utility spells, and sort of any combination you want. And then those individual skills are modified via runes. So the rune system originally was actually really complicated. I think different levels of runes were going to drop, and this never happened in the beta, but different levels of runes would drop, and then those runes would be socketed or slotted into those different skills. So that system was scrapped entirely, and now what happens is you unlock those runes at basically full strength as you level up, in addition to unlocking skills. So end game, everybody's going to have the same access to the same runes, the same skills, similarly in Diablo 2, but the difference here is that, the difference here will come down to your preference for skill, rune combinations, and basically gear. One of the other things that they have taken out is the ability to choose your stat points. So I'll go into my concerns and flesh this out in more detail in part 2. But Diablo 2, you had stat points and your skill points that you distributed every level, and now your stat points are distributed for you automatically. So one of the things that they've tried to do to still give you some of that customization is they put some of those values on gear, as opposed to slotting in stat points. It has obviously a closer feel to World of Warcraft versus the older Diablo 2. Also, like I said, I don't want to get into too much now because we're going to run out of time, but I think that a lot of the builds basically in Diablo 2 focused on essentially just pumping vitality every fucking point. So, like I said, I'll flesh out more in part 2. One of the big ways is big changes is in addition to the like I said, the average MF find and the way that the loot drops is the way that they're actually doing the MF runs, and that is via champion or unique bosses. You get a buff when you kill them, and then that buff stacks and you get a greater percentage to MF as you kill more and more and more. So I guess they said that their goal is to decrease people that are just creating new games again and again and again and farming the bosses. They've said that you will get better than average gear off of bosses, but bosses will not be dropping the best gear. So we'll remain. There's just so much in the air that we've never played with this type of system before. So I think it's really hard to make a judgment call on what it's going to be like. It's always been boss farming, even in D2, whether it's World of Warcraft, whatever. There's never been anything like this. It sounds like they want people to basically be choosing an area that they enjoy, running around and farming it, hoping to run into random mob packs, I guess. Maybe using those buffs to kill boss mobs later. I don't know. Like, there's a lot up in the air, so nobody really knows. Nobody's played around with it, at least not in the beta. So a lot remains to be seen. I think those are the biggest changes that have happened mechanically wise from the first game, and then also, like I said, the potential for a minimal RPG aspect on this action RPG. So we'll see what happens with that. And then in part 2, I'll begin to flesh out, my thoughts on why are these things coming into it. Is it the consoleization issues? Is it, because they are trying to port this over to consoles? What were the earlier Diablo games were actually used on consoles? What happened then? Did people like that? How did it work? Control schemes. Like I said, more honing in on the RPG aspects of the game. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Comments, criticism, critiques, as always. I will be playing the shit out of Diablo 3. I will be live streaming. I will be putting up videos, all sorts of different things. So expect a lot of that coming your way. Hopefully as soon as possible after the game launches.